So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello again, it's us, and we're back with a post-match chat about that. And I thoroughly enjoyed the last 90 to whatever 100 minutes of watching football that we just saw there, Paddy. Great to see it back, and you know what? It's great to see it back in a sun-drenched stadium. There, it looked great. It looked like a great family day out. It looked like people who were there had great fun because Aston Villa. Well, any Aston Villa fans that were there had great fun because Aston Villa were 4-0 winners against Walsall at the Bescott.
I think it's safe to say, Neil, we're going to win the league.
We're going to win all the leagues. We're going to win all the leagues. And the Papa John's
it was
going to win.
Exactly what you said. It was a bit of a family atmosphere. There was good crack. They were singing songs about the Troyalists. They were singing songs about Tabby Abraham. It was a bit of crack. The players acquitted themselves fairly well, and we don't seem to have any injuries, and I think that's the most important thing now today.
Yeah, and for anyone who joined us for the team sheet tantrum, if you didn't, you can watch it back. It was actually quite fun showing, a lot of the things that we discussed in it. I'm not going to say that, well, we didn't want anything. It wasn't that we discussed things that came true, but a couple of the points that we discussed in the team sheet tantrum, they were really interesting because I think there were nice talking points in the first half. And let's start with the first half because we like to do things in chronological order sometimes, at least. If we can. Yeah. So I suppose after the team sheet tantrum, there was a little bit of a dummy team was named. If there's any Irish fans, any Irish GAA fans here, every summer there's always controversy over teams naming their team and then a completely different team being played, and the old fellas get really annoyed at that because they don't know who's playing. But Seb Evans started at left back instead of Ben Crisene, and I thought he acquitted himself really well. I was actually really impressed. He stuck to the right winger for the first half, and I was looking at him going, completely forgot all about this guy. He had a really good game against Liverpool in the FA Cup, if I'm not mistaken, and was pretty well thought of. A couple of loan moves, if I'm not mistaken, that didn't work out for him, and his brother being released recently, Dominic Revan, I suppose really someone who's gone under the radar, but really good first 45 minutes for him in pre-season. Paddy, who do you? We also spoke about Finn Azaz. How did you feel he went? He was somebody I was really looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, didn't see enough of the ball that I would have hoped to see him on, but absolutely nothing to complain about. You got to bear in mind with all the comments we make, the opposition that we're up against is lower league, so take everything with a pinch of salt that you saw today. With the exception of someone I might give out about at the end, but we'll get to that. So Seb Revan, I thought he was excellent, very composed, very grown up performance, which was the complete opposite to what was happening on the other full-back position, where we had Kane Kessler-Hayden absolutely flying into everything, completely out of position at times, and that was a bit of a difficult watch for me because I expected him to be a little bit more reserved, let's say. So, and look, we were texting during the game that we had said previously on this podcast that we saw him more as a winger than a fullback, and that might still be the case. But he's enthusiastic, he's good, he played a great ball in for the goal, but his positional sense just seems to be that little bit off.
Well, I'm gonna because I'm gonna talk about it now. I think now is probably as good a time as any. Then instead of going down through each individual player, we'll take a little interjection because I saw a different setup from Aston Villa today. I saw a different setup, but I saw some things that have obviously carried over from last season. And the having one side of the field bomb massively forward was definitely something I saw. I think that they chose Ken Kessler-Hayden to do it in this. Or Ken Kessler, as he seems to just be going by. And for me, it's easier to just say Ken Kessler. If he doesn't mind me dropping the Hayden part, if he's doing it in the back of his shirt or if he's doing it in the team sheet, I'm going doing it here too. But I think it was just easier for him because he does have that in his locker. To go up and down the field, and he's obviously more experienced at senior level than Seb Evans. So I think maybe that's why they took the opportunity to do that, because in the second half they took the opportunity to do that with Ben Crisene, and he definitely got up and down the field. He was actually cutting inside Philip Lamb style and taking the ball through the middle at times in the second half as well. So that was really interesting to see. So I wonder, was he just told, listen, pin your ears back and just see what you can do up and down there, and we'll cover you? Because I text you as well, Paddy. What I was absolutely delighted to see in both halves was Nakamba slotting in very much so as a third centre half inside there to be that deep pivot player. And Villa needed that last year, and it just wasn't happening. And Diego Carlos and Mings were okay with that. Somebody coming back into the middle there to be that extra person, and maybe that allowed our one of our fullbacks to go that bit far forward. But like you, Paddy, I think of all the players that I was kind of like, okay, I need to see a leash put on this person, was Ken Kessler-Hayden for me as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a really interesting one. But Finn Azaz, you mentioned Finn Azaz. I was actually impressed, and someone messaged me on Twitter and they said that they're getting Gareth Barry over Gareth Barry vibes was what they said we're getting off him, and I'm going, yeah, Gareth Barry over 30 vibes was what I was thinking as well, because he stood in there in midfield. His positioning was excellent positioning in midfield, and he was just that that stereotypical continuity player. And you know what? That's not a bad thing to have either inside there. Somebody who just doesn't get caught out of position and can just keep that ball moving with 8 to 10 yard passes all the time. I was quite happy with him. Now, I'd love to see him carry the ball forward and ping one in from 20 yards. That's what I was thinking. But if we were playing a 4-2-3-1, which I think we were, he did that job as one of the two really, really well. Yeah.
And look, he was relaxed, composed in a fairly congested area, you'd call it, I suppose, because they were dropped a bit deeper. I like the look of him. I like the cut of his jib. I would like to see him get 45 minutes against either Leeds or Man U to see how he is. And you know, I think they're lining up for that. I think they will give him an opportunity, and they'll make a decision on his future fairly much after that.
Looking forward then to up the field, we did, as I say, 4-2-3-1. I'll take a lot of convincing that we didn't play 4-2-3-1 today. A lot of convincing from anybody out there, because it very much looked like Anwar El Ghazi was playing in the middle, and you had Leon Bailey on the left, Bertrand Traore on the right. And I must say, for the first 45 minutes, there was a lot of that 45 minutes. Leon Bailey was unplayable for those guys, and you could see it. He had that little bit of magic in his feet. He hugged the touchline. I thought he was good out there, and I thought he actually got stuck into a couple of tackles. Now he goes down like a ton of bricks when he gets tackled himself, but I thought he played well. And look, his goal was a good finish. It was just a kick, really hard goal, but it was a good finish. And he had one or two more times when he got sighters, he cut in his right foot and had shots. But it was something we asked at the start of the game, that Leon Bailey needs a good game. And do you think that he's definitely got something to build on from there?
Yes, absolutely. I was delighted to see him really put himself about. He looked like a fella that was trying to make an impression, and I think that's the way he needs to be throughout the whole of pre-season. I'm really, really pinning my hopes on him this season, being like a new signing. So that's why I spoke about him so much in the team sheet tantrum, and he didn't disappoint.
Yeah, I thought Anwar El Ghazi had a nice sight or two on goal. I thought he was unlucky. Like the goalkeeper in the first half for Walsall certainly wasn't as confident as the goalkeeper in the second half for Walsall. The goalkeeper in the first half made a couple of good saves. Two from El Ghazi, if I'm not mistaken, one from Traore, and one from.
Was it a different goalkeeper?
I think it was. Did they not mention it was a different goalkeeper? Well, if it wasn't, he definitely had a different mindset. Maybe he didn't like playing into the sun or something like that. But I thought Traore was quite good. I liked. Now, look, once again, we haven't seen a lot of him, but there were times there when the ball just came to him, and you just see he's got Velcro on his feet from time to time. But and he does have that maverick style. And I kind of missed that. I thought last year sometimes we were a bit too rigid. We were a very rigid team for times last year. It was like we were like that old game of that old football game that you used to have, and you had these things that used to turn and have to push fellas up and down the field, and you turn them to kind of whack a ball. And I felt we were very much like that. We could only run in straight lines at times last season. And someone like Bertrand Traore doesn't even know what he's going to do from second to second. So look, albeit we were against a League Two team. He acquitted himself pretty well today. But I think the one thing for me as well, Paddy, we were texting first 25 minutes, first 30 minutes. Where the hell is Cameron Archer? He hasn't had a sniff of the ball. They've dealt to him really well. And then all of a sudden, Lethal Weapon himself picks up the ball on the halfway line and goes full Michael Owen. But the finish, like the second he kicks that ball to finish it, you're like, well done, kid. Great goal. Whereas the second Ollie Watkins kicks a ball to finish it like that, you're kind of going, it's bobbling. Is it going to go past the post? Where is it going to go? Is it going to hit the goalkeeper? You just knew he was going to finish it.
Yeah. So to me, he's a natural born finisher without a shadow of a doubt. I wasn't criticising him when I said he was missing in action.
No, neither was I.
He was just stifled in there. There was no room for him. There was no getting the ball to him. They were sitting very deep. It was very hard to open them up. I would have liked to see him play with Buendia, because Buendia was finding those spaces in the second half. But what a finish. Louis Barry, Michael Owen-esque, as you say. And you just, the minute you saw him break clear the defender, you knew the net was going to bulge. And yeah, super finish. And we saw Ollie Watkins get into a similar situation in the second half.
Yeah.
And just didn't happen. Keeper came out and smothered it.
Yeah.
So I truly believe they're going to keep this fella around the first team as long as they can. If he's not progressing to the level, I think we might see him go out early September. But I'd say leave him in there. I think he could be a really valuable asset as the season goes on. If we're playing somebody like they did today when we eventually brought them out of their shell and they defended high up the pitch, you just see how he can punish people. He really can.
And the great thing about having a player like that is, there are strikers that need a couple of sighters a goal. I'd arguably say Robbie Keane was a striker like that might have needed an early sighter on goal, but he would go on to score goals, and he was a great goal scorer. Like, he scored however many international goals, and through his club career, scored for every team he played for. Definitely the best Irish striker there ever was. But Cameron Archer, Cameron Archer doesn't need a sighter. And the thing about this is where fellas like Solskjaer, when Solskjaer has come off the bench for United, could be one touch goal kind of a thing, and then he could have 3 touches in the second half and have 2 goals. There was often times where that was the case, and they don't grow on trees. Finishers like that don't grow on trees. So even if we do keep him around, he only gets 15 minutes. He might, in those 15 minutes, he might touch the ball once, he might score. Whereas Ollie Watkins needs to get a lot of touches in the ball. Danny Ings showed today he needs to get a lot of touches in the ball, and Danny Ings and Watkins need to come from wide. They need to manufacture their space. Whereas Cameron Archer just needs to get the ball. And I think that was the biggest problem today, is he didn't get the ball and he couldn't have his snapshots. So interesting, really interesting to see what they do with him. Let's flip it over into the second half, Paddy. Stayed with the same goalkeeper because we had no one on the bench, and then they rattled through the changes. Josh Feeney got his run out. Really physically impressive looking man. Like, we talked about Ken Kessler-Hayden in the first half. He looks childish when he's on the field from a stature and body shape point of view. Couple of barrels of Guinness over in Australia bulk him up a small bit, mightn't go astray. But fellas like Ben Crescene and Josh Feeney, they look there, from a physical point of view, naturally kind of bulky, and he didn't look out of place when he was there at all. No, he did miss a sitter, and we'll probably get onto that in a moment. But second half, Paddy, who do you think was the standout players? Because we went with a bit more flair up top, I think.
Yeah, and look, I mentioned him already. I thought Buendia was brilliant. He just oozes class. His through balls are magnificent, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him hooking up with Archer at some stage, because I think Archer giving them chances will result in goals without a shadow of a doubt. So for me, he stood out. I joked and called him a trialist at one stage because he'd no number on his back. I think that was the joke of the day. So many trialists going on and off. But look, it was a canter in the second half. I thought we could have won by more, but there wasn't any real standout things to talk about in the second half, other than what let me down was the Ashley Young playing at right back and nearly causing us to cough up that clean sheet at the end. Why you're not attacking that ball and drilling it out into Rose Edge is beyond me. But I just don't think playing at right back suits him.
And playing left back doesn't either. But where's Freddie? Like the big question there is, where's Freddie Gilbert? Our right
Yes,
back,
and
and that's the
we
question.
discussed that, and it's blatantly obvious that if Freddie Gilbert is fit, that he's not staying in the building. Definitely not, because surely he's out there today when we're short of right backs instead of playing Ashley Young. Look, I hate giving out about Ashley Young. When he was with us before, he was a great servant. He was a great servant last year. He's obviously great to have around the place, but I just don't fancy him as a fullback at all. I just think anything is likely to happen, which we saw against a League Two team today. That's poor decision making. The ball is dropping in the 6-yard box, and you're trying to play the ball. I honestly don't know what he was doing.
Moving on to midfield. I loved Douglas Luiz, not just because of the corner. Look, and we'll get onto that in a moment because he 100% meant it. But when we get it, I love Douglas Luiz today, and that Douglas Luiz that we saw today, albeit against lesser opposition he played last year, and that's no offense to Walsall. He did what I wanted him to do last season, and he didn't do this. And all the heat maps show this out. He did not do this. His average position maps do not show that he did this last season. And that's come back into the back two to form a back three to be the deep pivot. And I thought he was excellent at that in the second half today. I thought he was brilliant at it. I thought the two guys were really comfortable with him doing that. Now, I did notice as well, Paddy, a continuation from last season. Callum Chambers seemed to be somebody who didn't shut up for the second half. And that is great to have because it looked like he was pointing, he was directing. He didn't get in the ball an awful lot, obviously, because, well, he a couple of times he did, but he just played the simple ball. But I think that kind of organization is great to have. And I think maybe that's why he was utilized in the second half alongside Josh Feeney, because he is a talker. The two fullbacks, we mentioned Ashley Young and we mentioned Ben Crescene, but moving on into midfield, Sanson was good. I thought Sanson was good today. Yep. And I think that, we're probably going to come to a situation whereby if the money isn't right for us, we may not see him go out. And because I thought that if he was going to be gone, he'd be gone before we went to Australia. But he's not gone as of yet. And Galatasaray don't seem to be plumping up money, and they're after buying, or they're after getting money for a centre half now. So maybe it's put up or shut up time for them as the week goes on. But Morgan Sanson, I thought played pretty well today. I thought he was all over the place. I thought from a point of view of he was very industrious. How would you find the two of those lads went, Paddy?
Yeah, absolutely fine with me. No complaints either way. We know that there's a decent player in there with Morgan Sanson, and I'd love to see him get a run of games where he can show what he can do. Will he get that? I don't know. With the likes of McGinn and Ramsey to come back in there, he might get it in the first game in Australia while the lads come up to speed. So I hope that if they're going to bring him to Australia, that they do give him that time.
In front of those guys, though, then there was Emi Buendia, as we mentioned, who I thought was just scintillating, I think is the word. And that's the word I wanted to use because it's a nice word, but I thought he was brilliant. You had Tommy O'Reilly, and then you had Ollie Watkins playing wide left in a more wider left role with Danny Ings up front on his own. And that's why I think it's going to take some convincing for anyone to tell me that we were playing a 4-3-3, because it was most definitely in both halves 4-2-3-1. Whether that was because of the personnel available or whether that's because there's been a shift in mindset, and plus the players that we have. And me personally, I think the players that we have fit a 4-2-3-1 immeasurably better than they would fit a 4-3-3. Not immeasurably better than a 4-3-3, but they fitted better than a 4-3-3. Okay, I don't mind if we play 4-3-3, depending on who we put in the field. But I think if we put our best 11 out, I think we have a fantastic shot, a better shot at getting our best 11 in a 4-2-3-1. But that's for a pod for another day after the preseason pans out and see who we have. But I thought Tommy O'Reilly was bright for the first 10 minutes or so, and then there was a lot of running around going on, because I think the game did kind of devolve into a small bit of a, okay, we don't want to absolutely trash Walsall, and Walsall were getting leggy, I thought, very much from maybe about 60 minutes onwards.
Yeah, we were just stroking the ball around at times and basically just teasing them a little bit, because the last thing you want to do is go out and annihilate a team either. It's no good for them, definitely not. And the sole purpose of today is to get minutes in the legs. Yeah. And we saw a good few players get 45 minutes, which was great. I like Tommy O'Reilly when he came on. I thought he looked good. As you say, it fizzled out, but it was a little bit disjointed as Walsall started to retreat into their shell. Ollie Watkins wasn't getting wide; he was kind of inside left as opposed to a winger. So yeah, it was just a bit congested. Emi Buendia is just one of the word I love to use, exquisite. He just this is going to be his year. I really think he is. You're asking your question now. If we go 4-2-3-1, where are all these players going to fit in? You know,
I'll tell you. Buendia for Norwich played wide right, coming into the left as like as a wide 10. Coutinho for Liverpool played as a wide 10 from the left hand side. You know, so there you go. And then there's opportunities to play John McGinn as that 10 up there as the central 10. There's opportunities to play other players in there. Maybe Leon Bailey goes out, maybe Buendia goes in. Yeah. There's guys that you can play there, and then you've got your 3 rotations of centre forwards. Plus, that also, like, I just get excited when I think of 4-2-3-1 as our best formation. But as I say,
I get the impression he really likes Bertrand Traore, and he likes the little bit of unpredictability about him. So he's spoken about that in the past at the end of last season, and he gave him the chances when he was fit. So I just want everybody to get up to the full pace and give us a good start to this season, because I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. The 2 goals we got in the second half, I can just about remember Ollie Watkins' goal, but what I remember more about it was the ball from Tommy O'Reilly. Gave a pretty decent ball into Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins slats it away early in the second half. So I'm not going to really dwell on that, because I personally don't remember a whole pile about that goal other than the Tommy O'Reilly goal.
Great touch by Tommy O'Reilly, in fairness, absolutely. And finish fairly straightforward finish in the end, I suppose, without trying to downplay what he did. He scored a goal, and doesn't matter how they go in once they go in, as we found out with the fourth one.
The fourth one, then, of course, I said I'd leave you do that, because your idol, mine is Paul McGrath, yours is Steve Staunton, and your idol did that all those years ago for Aston Villa. So I'll let you take that one away and talk about the technique and how he absolutely meant it.
Well, it did look like he was going to put the goalkeeper under pressure, because of the like, I used to take corners, and the guys who played with me used to say they could tell exactly where it was going by where my eyes went just before I took the ball. So if the keeper's off his line, you do put it in there, especially if you feel he's a bit dodgy. You put it in there, and with big guys in there, they're going to challenge it. But it looked to me that he went to in-swing it and put him under pressure. I don't think he anticipated that there was nobody around him, and he fumbled the ball into the net, unfortunately for him. But it's not one we'll be talking about for a long time, but a goal is a goal.
Yeah. If he can do it, first day of the season in the what is it called? The Vitality Stadium? Vitality. I wasn't sure it was still the Vitality. Yeah, because I remember it used to piss me off with that dog running across the board, the advertising boards. Whenever Bournemouth are in the Premier League, you see that dog running across, and really annoying when you're watching the game. But if you can do it that day, first day of the season, well then we'll say that it's an Aston McPhee masterclass. That's what we'll say if that turns out. I think all in all, Paddy, good run out, no injuries, as you say, which is fantastic. A lot of young players that we have been talking about for the last 2 years kind of coming on, showing themselves well. As I said, we said a couple of things about Ken Kessler-Hayden. Don't get us wrong. We still think he's primed to have an absolutely mad season and to be an absolutely a great starlet within the club. Ben Crisene, who I've changed the pronunciation of his name about 4 times. And you know what? I can't remember how Mark Regan was pronouncing his name in the commentary either. I think it was Crisene, he said.
He was saying Crisene, yeah. I am reliably informed it's Crisene, so I'm going to stick with Crisene for now.
Well, Mark Regan is my man, so I'm going to stick with him. So the debate rolls on. I thought that he looked every inch of Premier League player from a stature point of view and how he carried the ball forward. As I say, Finn Azaz, I was impressed with him. I wasn't sure whether he would play that role, because he didn't really play that role for Newport. Well, he did, but he was more of a ball carrying midfielder who brought it forward for Newport. So delighted with that run out. And we have Leeds on the 17th of July, early game, 5:35, I think they said. I will be getting ready for an All-Ireland final on that day. Limerick will be playing in the All-Ireland final, so I could very well be awake at that time. I could also very well be just getting to sleep at that time. One or the two, depending on what I decide to do on the Saturday night. If I go to Dublin for a night in the piss, well, I could just be going to sleep, and that could be an interesting team sheet tantrum for sure at 4:25 in the morning, and me full to the brim of Dublin's best whiskey. So, yeah, that one could be one to set your alarms for. But
Well,
I am going to
I
commit
can
now
assure
to
you
do
that I
something.
will not
Paddy
be watching.
won't.
I will not be watching that game live. I will not be watching the team sheet tantrum as I head off on a holiday that I absolutely need every minute of sleep when I'm on it. So I'm not getting up at 5:30. That is why I bought my Villa membership today, in order to watch that game later in the day, where I'm perhaps sitting beside the pool with a cold beer with my earphones in, and that's just heaven to me than getting up at 5:30 in the morning.
Absolutely. Hate you. Yeah, 4-0 against Walsall. Could have been 5-0. Danny Ings had one ruled out. I think they felt soft in the goalkeeper, although he was ploughed into. But it could have been 5-0. 4-0 run out. As I say, back against Leeds on the 17th of July. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. I don't know if anybody's getting ready to watch the Formula 1 sprint race, but I certainly am. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Enjoy. And yeah, this is the start of a new season with Aston Villa. We're going to try and be with you every single step of the way. So if you haven't given us a thumbs up in this video, please do. If you don't already subscribe to the podcast, please do as well. I have an audio one coming out tomorrow. Please subscribe to the audio stuff. I will pop it up onto YouTube at a later date, but I need to put it out on audio tomorrow, and it's something that I would like everybody to get to listen to because it's about the academy. So if you aren't already subscribed on YouTube, on Spotify, any of those, costs you nothing to do it. Just click on subscribe and you'll get the automatic download of it once it does come out. Thanks a million, everybody. Been a fantastic day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.